Welcome, everyone. We are here today live on IBM Developer TV, streaming to YouTube and other channels. I'm really delighted to have some great guests with us today. We're going to talk about the IBM Developer Call for Code Everyday Heroes Spot Challenge. And we have with me two of our colleagues from Samsung that are co-hosting with us. So we're going to talk about some of the Samsung tech. So I've got Eric and Julia here. Thanks for joining us today. And then, of course, our fearless leader, Daniel Crook, is with me to talk a little bit about the challenge, the submission, the judging, and the rules, how to get yourself ready. We're going to talk about office hours. And in particular, I am so delighted that Pedro Cruz is here with me. So Pedro is going to introduce himself in a minute, but I just love doing projects with Pedro because he just brings some awesome tech to the challenges. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to share my screen, narrate a couple of tabs, and then I think we're going to intersperse back and forth between my stuff and Pedro's. So we'll kind of do a couple of back and forths. How about that? So welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining our stream today. All right, let's share my screen. And I'll bring that up. All right, let's select this one. So we are here to talk about the Samsung and IBM Call for Code Challenge for honoring everyday heroes. We launched the challenge, about 3 weeks ago on October 26th. And we've been running a number of live streams to really help you as a developer get ready for the challenge. So we've got a couple of different tech channels that you should go back and watch the replays, but really delighted that IBM and Samsung are co-leading this initiative. Those of you who don't know me, I'm an IBM developer advocate. My name is John Wallachy. My expertise is in IoT and Edge and Call for Code and AI. I just love to talk to developers and talk about IBM Cloud and Cloud Native. We do have, and I think I said a couple of words about Julia Wong is here, so Julia's there, and I think we just dropped Eric, but he's listening in from the peanut gallery. And but let's give everyone a chance. Let's give Pedro a chance to introduce himself because you've met everyone before.
Awesome. Thank you, John, so much. And hey, everyone, I'm calling in from Rio Grande, Puerto Rico. I am a developer advocate at IBM, and I'm passionate about Call for Code. I participated in the first hackathon back in 2018. Really love to work with IoT, drones. I know, John,
that was the first time
drones,
Pedro and I
like
met.
to create
awesome
stuff.
Fun.
It was. So yeah, I'm here just to share 3 different demos for people who are looking to create Android applications and integrate it with IBM services. So happy to be here.
All right, we're gonna definitely get you up with your demos because I'm so eager to see them. Those of you that are just coming new to the challenge, I wanted to do a couple of things just to remember, so that everyone remembers what the Call for Code Honoring Everyday Heroes Challenge is about. So we'll narrate this for just a minute. Now, remember throughout the pandemic that there have just been amazing people all around us in our communities, our healthcare professionals, our, the delivery people bringing us, food and keeping us going. But if you look around, the volunteers have just been outstanding. And this challenge is about honoring them. Let's use technology to make their jobs easier. So we've got, and if there's so many different ways that you can build solutions, we're going to actually talk, Daniel will talk about some of how to, come up with an idea. There's still time. There is a little bit of a timeline. Let's get to the timeline. Let's just see if I can scroll the timeline up here. So November 20th is your deadline. I think it's 11:59 p.m. Pacific time is when the submissions need to be in. We're going to be together on Thursday to talk about how to put your package together. So, by the end of this week, you want to be really bundling it up. You got a couple of days, you can still do it. But if you want to go back, you can go and look at some of the live streams that we pre-recorded. So we kicked it off on November 2nd. And then I came last Thursday or 2 Thursdays ago. We talked about IBM Cloud and Watson AI. And then we had the Samsung team talk about the Samsung toolkits, the Knox SDKs that you could sort of build really secure Android apps. Awesome. I've been playing with them in some of my Android projects. Last week, I was here to talk about the weather company, and now I'm a weather nerd. So, yes, I'm a weather nerd for sure. Today, we're talking about the office hours. And if you've not yet signed up, we've got ourselves some links. I think we'll drop the link in the Slack channel in just a minute, or in the stream. And we want you to register. So that's the link. So if you follow that. We're going to talk about office hours today. And the office hours is really just about inspiring you to build something amazing. And if you don't yet have an idea, listen to Pedro, listen to Daniel, and spark some ideas, put it together. You got a couple of days, and you know what? You're going to win potentially $15,000 for your team, and for every member of your team, a Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3, except for John. John can't win. I keep asking for the Z Fold, and no one, unless I'm taking money out of my wallet, I just can't win because IBMers and Samsung employees, developers are not eligible. But you as a developer are certainly eligible. So do take advantage of that. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to get Pedro up in a minute. I just want to do 2 quick commercials. Number one is tonight. Daniel, you'll notice, is in New York City. And I'm going to be jumping on a train really soon. And I'm so excited to find out who's going to win the Call for Code 2021 Global Challenge, $200,000, and a chance to work with the Linux Foundation and IBM and a whole set of partners to make your project, deploy it in the real world. So tonight, tune in. We've got it live streaming. We've got a great guest host and some great entertainment. You don't want to miss this, because some great projects. I think the finalists are absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to see who's going to win tonight, starting at 7:30 Eastern time. All right, so go follow that link. Well, we've got a number of GitHub resources. If you've not yet been to the github.com Call for Code, in particular, we've got our Spot Challenge, and we're going to jump and narrate a couple of things in the Spot Challenge. I think I've covered most of it already. Let's see. So we've got an example here, and I've already talked about, these are links to the replays. If you don't yet have a link to the replay, find them in the Git repository and jump into one of those. There you go, Daniel and Pedro are pasting some links there. Awesome. We got some links here. And then, Daniel, I wanted you to sort of talk about the timeline and submissions and how the judging works and what makes for a good project.
Yeah, and hopefully this answers one of the questions we already got in the chat. And while I do that, if you guys I can check out those questions as well, we'll figure out some answers there. So so in Call for Code, we're really looking for solutions that that are implemented, right? So they've got some degree of code that backs up the idea. But that is also presented against some other judging criteria that says, okay, are you solving the real problem? Have you identified your real issue? And are you creating a vision here that says, okay, I've created this solution. The whole idea is to do the 5 things. I've only created a technical solution to 1 or 2 of them, but here's my vision for the future. So you give us a roadmap that says, if I win, this is where IBM and Samsung can help me deploy this solution. I'll need help on tablet SDKs or something like that. So make sure that it's as complete as you can make it. And if it's something that solves an issue for a frontline worker in maybe the United States, is there a way that will also do that elsewhere in the world, where there might be slightly different mobile networks, 5G capability, offline use, and things like that. Effectiveness and efficiency, that is really identifying the right problem. So hopefully here during office hours, you can connect with some folks that can point you towards good use cases to tackle. Design and usability, is it something somebody can use that's, they can operate a device with gloves on, or they maybe have a disability. that's where accessibility and usability come into play. And then finally, there's creativity and innovation. And this sometimes works, it complements the completeness and transferability. But if you have some crazy wild idea, something totally innovative, yet you haven't been able to make major strides on it, that's still going to help you out. So bring your big ideas, bring your code where possible. And the question Salma had in the chat was, how complete does it need to be? It's always subjective, right? You're competing against an unknown group of other submitters. So you want to do your best, but the best advice I can give you is identify your problem, describe how mature your project is, and talk about a roadmap that's going to get you to where you want to be, so we can kind of understand it and help you get to that point. John's showing also the submission materials. During Thursday's call, we'll talk a little bit more about the form itself and the logistics of getting information in there. But essentially, you'll describe your project, give it a description, provide your link to GitHub, and make sure you make that public, or else the judges can't evaluate it. You've got to put a 3-minute short video in there. If you have something longer, like a real-time demo, you can link that from your repo, but make sure your pitch video is covered. And then talk about what IBM and Samsung tech you've created, maybe some external hybrid cloud resources. You pulled in data from elsewhere on the internet. And that roadmap, that all-important roadmap, is huge. So I'm just going to look through a couple of the other questions here. John, do you see anything?
Yeah, SOMO was asking if it's a mobile app, do you have to have a landing page? We definitely would love for you to, have a Git repository, take a couple of screenshots of your mobile app. If you're running it in the emulator, do a quick screenshot from your laptop, your PC, post them in your Git repository. So if you're telling us about your mobile app, it doesn't have to be available in the Play Store, but we want to see it. So tell us about your design. Tell us, sort of how it works. If you do want to record a quick little screencast of you running the app in an emulator, that's awesome too. Sure. Okay, so towards that end, I think Pedro's going to come and talk. So let's. I got like 2 more tabs here. Let's just finish out.
Okay. John, a quick question. There's another question from Salma, just to clarify the theme, right? So they ask another question: do we have to target heroes affected by the pandemic, or any everyday hero? Maybe you just want to talk about kind of the end user of this solution a little bit more detailed, and then and Eric and Julia, if you have any comments on that too. But I'll hand it first to you, John.
So if I think around, the volunteers that have done so much for us to keep your community up and running, whether it's a town volunteer or a medical volunteer or a church group, there's all sorts of technologies to make their jobs easier, right? Scheduling. I was talking about lightning strikes last week, or driving directions. If you build a mobile app that sort of crowdsources a particular problem, and then gets all the technologies needed to make that volunteer experience successful. How do I get from the town parking lot to the food shelter? Directions wise, is if I'm going to run an event outdoors because we don't want to be indoors, and I've got a tent, well, I want to make sure that I know the weather. So you could do a weather app with lightning strikes or severe weather storms, and planning around that. There's all sorts of different things about how to help someone who's a hero do their job better with technology. At least I've got a bunch of ideas swirling in my head. Hopefully others have got better ones. I think Julia, you're here. Julia, what do you think? Have you been coming up with some fun ideas for yourself?
Yeah, I think people who normally, it's what they do is very laborious or task oriented. It's very helpful when, even the person that's helping you with queue, right? They're sitting there. Maybe it'd help if they had, they already know who you are before you get in the queue. And they see what stage of the process you're in, for example, if you're getting vaccinated. So yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily be, care home people or doctors or nurses. It can be anyone, basically, as John mentioned, that has helped during the pandemic and would really benefit from being more connected, using our tools, using, like John said, if they're outside, understanding what the weather is. So yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, great. Daniel or Pedro, we're going to get to Pedro. I think that's our next big thing. Can't wait to.
Yeah, sure. So you want me to get started with
Because
the demos?
the demos sort of might drive some of your ideas. So I think the rest, when I wrap up, I'll cover the rest of the tabs. So I'm going to stop sharing, Pedro, and then you can grab your, if I can find out how to stop sharing. There's a little X. There we go.
All right, now my turn. Let me hit share.
Because I bet your demos are going to spark some interest too.
All right, can you see my screen?
That's awesome.
All right,
Pedro,
so I'm going to be talking about three.
Sorry, just bump up the
Yeah.
font if you do Command plus, just a little.
Yeah. So how about that? Is that better?
To me.
All right, sounds good. So if you can't see it very well, or if you have any questions, feel free to pop it in the chat. So basically, I'm going to be going over 3 different projects that have participated in Call for Code in the past. They use Android specifically to build their applications. They also integrate the IBM Cloud. We also have one that uses a Samsung watch. So very, very useful for people who are on the go to be able to use mobile applications quickly. So I'm going to go over, first of all, Prometeo Opera. This is a project that was made in Spain in 2019. So right now you can't hear the audio, but I'm just going to go ahead and walk through it. It's an application that helps firefighters stay safe. Basically, the problem is that the firefighters, when they're out on a mission, they're exposed to toxins, and there's very few ways to get real-time health data, especially when during a fire, many of the like the electricity might go down, you might not have Wi-Fi in the area. So this uses IoT devices to be able to transmit that to a location and track the health status of all the firefighters. So a really cool application. This won a Call for Code prize back in 2019, and they have open sourced their software completely with the Linux Foundation. So this is an incredible project that I think many can get inspiration from. It combines different technologies like IoT, sensors, and also cloud computing. So let's now talk about another project that participated in the first year in Call for Code. They're a distributed team, and they're called SOMO, based in Nepal and also Colombia. They're trying to solve the problem of construction that is done without inspectors and engineers involved in the process. So many people who live in countries that are that have low resources don't have the money to be able to hire inspections. So many people can learn how to build, but for example, things like brick walls or the bars in the concrete, that has to be done in a very specific manner. And what SOMO created is a way to analyze the rebars and the different construction methods before the people they finish the property or the remodeling. So this is very important because during an earthquake, the most vulnerable houses and structures are these ones that are done like secondhand. They're not done with professional engineers. So this is an open source application as well, hosted by the Linux Foundation and Call for Code. I'm going to be sharing the GitHub repos of these 3 projects that I'm discussing today, and then walk through how you can get started. So here's an example of how someone can take a picture of a brick wall. This is using the IBM Watson technology to be able to train the models, do the detection, and also give a go or no-go status. So essentially here, the team was very innovative because they created a data set to generate different types of rebars. So those metal bars you see there, those are really important that they're done correctly, they're installed correctly in the construction. So people can take pictures of the rebars before they install them to make sure they're adequate. So a very easy user interface. It's like no go, no go. This can work across different languages. And also the whole goal of this project is to include new models. So this is just construction. This is analyzing like the shape of the bricks, right? And essentially what you see there is that it gave a go signal. So apart from that, it also includes a dashboard. And in this dashboard, you can see all of the different inspections and the results. So this is one of my favorite projects, and also it uses specifically React Native, so you can create Android apps easily if you have web development experience. All right, so now let's move on to Project Looker Prep. So this is a solution for farmers. So essentially, this project winner in 2019 created an open source solution to be able to detect water levels, and this could be expanded to create like a whole suite of sensors out on the field. So imagine, I'm going to skip ahead over here. You're able to choose the area of your crop. This is an example of the architecture. You'll have the Watson Agri platform getting all the crop details. This includes the weather API. Hello, shout out to all you fellow weather nerds. I know John loves to work with weather data, and I do too. So this is a really good example on how you can integrate multiple APIs into one platform. So moving on, you can use all this data and give advice to the farmers. So this project, like I mentioned, is created with Android. Let's go ahead and see the repos. So the cool thing is that all these projects that I'm sharing have repositories that you can check out. You can fork it, you can take inspiration from, or if you see any issues, you want to make suggestions, you can also submit pull requests. That's the whole goal of the Call for Code community. So I encourage everyone to step in here and to review the code on how these projects, these projects that already have traction and also won awards in the past, how they structure their GitHub and the instructions. You don't have to have a very elaborate project like these. These projects have been years in the making. But I think this gives you a really good idea on how it can be structured and also what applications you can create. So in the i6imo repository, we have the React Native application that you can use as an example. It runs Django and Python in the backend, and you can check out all the code in here. So moving on, we can move to Pira. Or Prometeo. This is a native Java application. So it uses Samsung-specific SDKs. So this is a really good GitHub to learn from if you want to see how you can interact with multiple devices at the same time. So check this one out. And I hope Dan or John, maybe if you can put the links of these repos in the chat, I would appreciate it. Moving on to Liquid Prep. So LucaPrep, once again, you can find it in the call for code organization. And here we can see the application. So the cool thing about this application, it's a progressive web app. So, you have 3 different examples of different technologies that can use to deploy on Samsung and Android applications. So here they're using the weather APIs and the crop data to be able to, create a dashboard, have the people see it on the phone. So this uses Angular, the Angular framework. If you're a fan, check this how this is structured. And yeah, in addition to that, it also uses the cloud object storage from IBM, which is a very easy way to store data.
And so this is all open source. They've got a community built around each of these projects, and not just the awardees were able to, sort of work, but we've got a whole community now. I don't know how many contributors, but not just the original project submitters. It's IBMers and the Linux Foundation and other interested parties. And I've been amazed at, people joining up and sharing and committing, their help. We want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah, actually,
I'll go ahead, Dan.
go ahead. I was going to want to make one comment too, and you touched on it earlier. What's amazing is I think the breadth of the solutions here, and I just dropped in another one that would be of interest, is that they all approach running on a Samsung Android device a little bit differently. So as Pedro mentioned, you've got React Native, right? And you can pull in the jar for the Nox SDKs directly into that. One of them is written in Java for an Android app, for a native app. You can do Kotlin as well. We don't have an example of that, but the Java API is right there. Isaac SOMO, that's again a React Native one. And then Call for Code for Racial Justice actually has progressive web app that is packaged with a manifest. So even if you're just familiar with web development and you want to package that, you can do that too. So lots of different ways to deploy, package, and serve them up. Go ahead, Pedro. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Dan. So I think that's a really good example. We also have OpenAEW. John, what do you think about the community this past month in the OpenAEW community? We've gotten pull requests from people on the internet
Yeah,
for our application. So
that's
how about
really
you tell the story there?
I will. And so it's those of you that are not familiar with OpenAEW. So it's this open early earthquake warning system, and it started off just as a sensor, right? So it was a hardware project, and so I've got one because I've been a contributor. So it's open hardware design. So we had a number of people from Portugal and Mexico and the United States design the hardware. We had it, custom made in, production company in China. We mail it out to, a couple of hundreds of different users. And then we've also done specific deployments in Puerto Rico, in Mexico. There's interest in Nepal. So there's, as these open earthquake warning systems, right, you want to warn a community that an earthquake is coming. And so great little hardware. And I contributed to the firmware for the project. Listens to the accelerometer, blinks the light, sends the alerts to the cloud. And I'm not a seismologist. I don't know anything about seismology, but these, real rocket scientists come and join the project. We've been accepting patches from all around the world. People are interested. They want to go and help their communities. We've got, both firmware updates and the alerting updates. We've got a dashboard. So it's a pretty big, so depending on what your interests are and your skill set, there's a place for you. And that's what's really great about some of these call for code projects. It's not just, are you a mobile developer, but are you a web developer? Or can you tell the storytelling? Honestly, the storytelling wins you're going to win on the 3-minute video, right? Make me cry as a judge. And I'm like, that was awesome. And because it's not just, can you show us some technology, and we want to see your code as a developer, sort of, code wins, but if you've got a vision and a roadmap and a video it tells us why your code matters, that's going to win you the Z Fold 3 and the 6 to 15K.
Yeah. And I think if you look at the examples, right, so you don't have to implement the full Bluetooth connectivity to a brand new sensor device. You don't have to do like provisioning of the app through its own configuration on a network. But if you can see the examples we have in the Call for Code community, be inspired by those. And if you say, okay, I've only created the web application, here's the placeholder for where it receives Bluetooth information from the device. At least you can get that idea across, and we can bring the experts to bear to bring it to life. I think that's amazing. So really do check out some of those solutions. And yeah, I mentioned even the tablets, right? So we've got dashboards, React Native dashboards using Carbon React framework. And you pull together one of those examples, run it on a tablet, show off how that looks on something that's, you know, touch enabled. Just with lots of great solutions that you can create.
Yeah. Let's bring. So I just shared my screen again because I wanted to. So some of the projects that we've just been talking about are available on callforcode.org, and in the Git repository, you can come and learn about some of that. If you jump over to actually the Call for Code link, sorry, wrong tab here. I'm looking for it. This one, and you go to open source projects. You can come and learn about some of the projects that are actively underway and some of the deployments that are underway from prior winners, and catch some inspiration from that as well. And then we've got a whole set of resources, in the tech library that you might want to go build with. There was, I think, someone asked about the SDK, and I see Julia's with us still, and Eric. Let's jump over to the SDK. Where'd it go? We've got a link right here. And I just want you to make sure that everyone is able to. Let's go follow that link. Come on. Oh, you know what? I'll just go to the top of the page and we'll go there. Do read about the Samsung SDK links as well here. And then if you want to come ask us questions, jump over to the callforcode.org/Slack. You'll get an invitation to the Slack channel. And in the Slack channel, in the Slack workspace, there is a Slack channel for our Spot Challenge. You can come and ask us questions, continue the conversation. Don't wait. You only got a couple of more days, so come ask us questions. We're happy to come and answer over the next couple of days. If you're asking us on Friday night or Saturday night, it's going to be tough. Ask us now while we can help you. All right. And if you don't yet follow us, follow me on Twitter at John Wallachy. Follow Daniel. He tweets quite a bit as well. And Pedro's, I don't know your Twitter handle, Pedro, but there's certainly great opportunities for you to come and join the Samsung and IBM teams in building an amazing solution. We're really excited that you might go build something cool for us and help your heroes in your community. Thanks, everyone.